What's going on, vapors? Vaping Cowboy here. I've been doing a little reading the last week or so, and now I'm going to state what these new FDA regulations are that they're trying to finalize. Again, understand that it's not final yet. We still have input, so make sure that you go to the FDA.gov and look for the regulations, because they have a bunch of forms and a lot of information on this subject that it could be bad. So just be aware. This video is designed around the key features of this whole statement, and then I'm just going to give some of my insight. And again, this insight that I give is just my personal opinion and what I gathered from it, so it could be different from yours or anyone else's. So I'm going to take a vape real quick, and then I'll just read in. It's not going to be a real interesting video, but there's a lot of information in here, so we'll just get started right away. Okay, the FDA new regulations. As it stands from the new FDA regulations, they have made a big mistake, in my opinion, as labeling e-cigarettes as a tobacco product. And I understand that they get the nicotine from tobacco plants, but it's not a tobacco product, in my opinion. So they're not a tobacco product. The only harmful product in the liquid is, of course, nicotine. From reports I have read, e-cigarettes give off 10 times less nicotine on exhale compared to the regular analogs or the cigarettes. We also have to take into account that the FDA is in place to keep what is best for the public health. Also note that while using e-cigarette, you consume more percentage of the nicotine than with a cigarette, as a cigarette is always steady burning. Now let's talk about the major provisions of this regulatory action the FDA is going to try and enforce. In option 1, they are going to declare certain dissolvables, e-liquid, gels, hookah tobacco, electronic cigarettes, cigars, and pipe tobacco under the tobacco product definition. Also note that they are including accessories such as air, smoke filters, tubes, papers, pouches, or flavorings used for any of the proposed deemed tobacco products, such as flavored hookah charcoals and hookah flavor enhancers, or cartridges for the e-cigarettes. They also put in the regulations that any future products will be classified as a tobacco product under the FDA's authorities under Chapter 9 of the FD&C Act. In other words, you will have to submit a form on a new product and pay the fees and hope that they will give you the green light to put it in the market. That's what it boils down to there. Now we have option 2. Option 2 is for cigars to exclude premium cigars. They noted that they recognize that they are still harmful and potentially addictive. The FDA is seeking comment on this option to determine whether cigars should be subject to the provisions of the rules. Now, this statement I'm going to read was taken right from the regulation letter, or the release, as you want to say. FDA realizes that there are distinctions in the hazards presented by various nicotine-delivering products. Some have advanced views that certain new tobacco products that are non-consumable, such as e-cigarettes, may be less hazardous than combustible products given the carcinogens in smoke and the dangers of secondhand smoke from combustible products. Accordingly, FDA is seeking comment in this proposed rule as to how e-cigarettes should be regulated based on the continuum of nicotine-delivering products. We welcome comment on how to implement the provisions in the FD&C Act with respect to e-cigarettes. We also welcome any health and behavioral data about the effects of using e-cigarettes." End quote. Once this regulation is finalized, the following provisions will be as follows. Number 1, enforcement action against products determined to be misbranded. Number 2, companies will be required to submit a list of ingredients, report harmful or potentially harmful contents for all tobacco products. This I do not see a problem with, as you know, we'll take into account of saying you're going to make a beer. Say you're making moonshine, then you want to go legit. Well, when you go legit, you have to let the government know what the products are in there, because they have to be regulated, and I understand that, and I don't have a problem with that. Number 3, companies are required to register product listing. So you're going to have to register before you can put it on, before you can get the green light to go ahead. Number 4, will no longer be able to use light, low, or mild to describe the product unless the FDA permits it. An example is for e-liquid that states low nicotine will have to state what the level is, 6 milligrams, 8 milligrams, etc. Number 5, I haven't come across this, but I know it has happened, is there's no longer free samples allowed. I understand they're trying to keep it out of the hands of the young, and I'm all for that. Number 6, have to be reviewed before it's able to go to the market to determine if it is in the best interest of the public health, to help reduce the use of misleading claims about the risk of tobacco products, which may lead consumers to keep using a tobacco product rather than quitting. Now, I don't agree with this. The thing is, if you're smoking and then you switch to e-cigarettes, you're obviously taking the healthier alternative. This is my opinion. There's research behind it that it's healthier. Yes, you're still getting the nicotine unless you're a zero-nic vapor. But the whole fact that they're kind of labeling it as marijuana, as a gateway to smoking. Well, I'm sorry, but if you're going to be vaping and you're doing something tasty like from the vape apes like I have here, the Choco Banapple, I'm not going to go to that to a cigarette because, quite frankly, cigarettes are freaking nasty. And that's just the way it is. And I do have a side note here. Number 2 is a real problem, as the e-cigarette is not a tobacco product and should not be labeled as such. It should be labeled as something different because it is an alternative, a healthier alternative. Technically it is derived from tobacco plants, but it's just the nicotine that we're getting. We're not actually doing the tobacco part of it. We're not lighting it up. So now, additional provisions: the FDA has the authority to invoke its other authorities under the Tobacco Control Act to regulate products. Also, the FDA is invoking 3 additional rules. Number 1, set a minimum age requirement. I'm all for that. I'm sure most everybody out there is for that. Number 2, health warnings for products and the advertisements. That's another positive in my opinion. You can never have too much information or too much warning when it comes to people's health, Number 3, no vending machine sales unless it's located in a facility where the retailer can ensure people under 18 years old cannot enter at any time. The FDA states that flavored tobacco products is prohibited in the Tobacco Control Act and only applies to cigarettes. They are also seeking research to the long-term effects of flavored tobacco product usage and want data to see if it will start some users to become dual users with cigarettes. Now, I don't know if they're going to try and create a loophole in that where it says, well, it only applies to cigarettes, because technically they're labeling these as e-cigarettes even though I'm using a mod. It's not combustible. I don't agree with that, but we should really keep an eye on that. So we got the FDA seeking comment in this proposed rule as to how such products should be regulated relating to fruit and candy flavored e-liquid as youth are increasing in e-cigarette usage. They also request comment on behavioral data related to the use of e-cigarettes and the traditional cigarettes. The statute establishes a substantial equivalence or SE pathway for new tobacco to enter the market, which means that if a product was not in the market before February 15th of 2007, these new products will have to submit a marketing application after the finalization date. You will have 24 months to fill the marketing application out. Now, this is where a lot of companies that are really starting to do well, a bunch of them were not even established at that point. There are some, but a majority of the ones out there that just started, vape apes included, they would end up having to submit to get their liquid out to us. So that's another thing to be wary of. The FDA recognizes that these proposals, it might have significant costs to manufacturers. The FDA seeks comments on how to use alternative approaches to lower the cost but still be able to jump through the hoops. This last one, in my opinion, will not be might cost a lot. It will. It will cost the business a lot of money. A majority of small and medium-sized businesses will go belly up just from the cost of the marketing applications. This is my opinion. A lot of these people, you know, they start out and, you know, they put their hard-earned money to work, and now the FDA is going to come in and make them fill out all this paperwork. You'll have to pay for it, and then it's not even a given. Not even a given that you're going to get the green light to go ahead and keep it on the market. So it's not good news. Not good news at all, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. Now, this last one, the FDA is not going to propose the 5th FTC warning be on packages. The 5th warning is related to birth defects, and I can't even remember. It's been so long since I've looked at a pack of cigarettes, but I don't even think those are on there. They might be, I'm not sure. It's been quite a while. So now we got effective dates. Age restrictions would be effective 30 days from the final ruling. That means after it's final, 30 days, and then they have to abide by the age restrictions, which they should already be doing anyway, because if they're labeling it tobacco, you have to be 18 in the States. So I agree with that totally full well. The health warning would be effective 24 months after the final ruling. Manufacturers can still sell off old inventory for an additional 30 days after the effective date after the health warnings are to take effect. So there is still a leeway there for people who have had who have back stock and all that. So just keep in mind on that. Under the legal authority section, it states that the youth who they questioned that use e-cigarettes or cigars might turn to the traditional cigarettes. We need rules and guidelines to prevent the younger generation from being able to purchase these, and I totally agree with that. But to automatically suggest that it will create smokers from vapors, in my opinion, is ludicrous. Who in their right mind would go from a good-tasting vape to a nasty cigarette? I mean, honestly. The FDA needs to realize that kids who are under the age of 18 that want to smoke or vape will bounce back and forth, and the reason behind this is that they will do what they can get their hands on right now. It's not, it's just ludicrous in my opinion. So I was a smoker and an underage smoker and a smokeless tobacco user. It did not matter to me what it was, as long as I could get it right away. The data they have is inaccurate, in my opinion, because if they were to have the choice, they would most definitely not be smoking. If vaping was around back when I was going to school, I would have vaped over smoking or chewing. That is a straight fact about me. During the research of the FDA and youth, young adults who were smokers and turned to e-cigarettes who were smokers and turned to e-cigarettes to quit is low. Did they take into account that a lot of these disposable e-cigarettes, such as Blue, are extremely awful? I tried these earlier ones when they came out, and I went right back to smoking because they were awful. They were bad. I'm not afraid to admit that. And I've tried a lot of them, especially when they first came out. But after doing a lot of research and getting advice from a few people, I'm going to do a couple shout outs here, like Nick, GrimGream.com, Rip Trippers, Phil Basardo, Indoor Smokers, and also Vaping with Twisted 420. The world of vaping has turned to the way better side. Pre-filled cartridges are not a way to change. I'm not saying it can't be done, but from my perspective, it is a lot easier to go from smoking to vaping when you have the right equipment, and there is a lot out there. No one way is the right way, and everyone's tastes are different. That is just my personal opinion. So I'll wrap it up here. So in conclusion, there will be costs to get your products to see the light of day from the following ways: registration, submission, labeling, and as the FDA states, other requirements. It all will add up to make it hard for the smaller business to stay in business, or they will have to make a decision on what products to keep and which ones will have to sit on the back burner until funds can be appropriated to submit forms. And even after all the hoops, it's not guaranteed that it will pass. You know, in my opinion, they do have some really good points here, some good stuff in there, but a majority of it is awful. It's just it seems to me that they're trying to hurt the small and medium business people and us as consumers as well. So, like I said, read up, go to the FDA.gov, do what you can, make sure our voice is heard, because I can go and talk about a mod. I could have done a mod video, or I could have done another juice review video, but this right now, this was important to me. To me personally, as a vapor and a consumer, and someone who smoked for 20 some years. So, just please, do what you can, get our voice heard. Let's see if we can change this over so it's a little bit brighter. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We got to fight. Nothing's worth fighting for unless it's something that you really care about. And if you care about vaping, then I strongly suggest that we get some affirmative action and do something. Because if we just sit on the sidelines, we might as well just close up shop. It's done. So this is the Vaping Cowboy. It was just a short video. I don't know how short it is, but this is just something that we really need to concentrate on. So we'll take another toot here, and then we'll get out of here. Keep vaping hard, my friends.